All right, folks, welcome back to Affinity Designer. So this is going to be the second technique in the woodcut or the sketchboard technique. So there's two ways to do it. Technique one we showed you in a previous video. However, technique two is going to be a lot more artistic in terms of the techniques that you're going to need. So if you have problems with this one, I would highly recommend you check out the video one to determine exactly how you might do it and still get to the same place. Let's go ahead and get started. First, we come over here to New, and we grab a web document, and we're going to work in 1920 by 1080. Doesn't matter the size. And the whole thing, the whole illusion is going to be pulled off in the pixel persona. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab your brush tool here on the left-hand side. You're going to want to grab, I'm going to grab an 8-point brush, and I like to sketch in red. And I like to turn my opacity down to around 50%, and I like to turn the flow down also to around 60 to 70% because I like the freedom of being able to sketch. Now, in all fairness, I'm going to work with the drawing tablet to do this. You do not have to do that. You can certainly do it with a mouse. And now, go ahead and sketch something you like to draw, all right? I'm going to go ahead and do one of my quintessential 3/4 skulls, okay? And now, we're going to go through, put a heavy eye on it here. Now, this method requires you to be a little bit more artistically savvy than some other methods. So if you're not here yet, don't worry about it. I always like to tend to over-exaggerate the cheekbones. Always like to make the nose a little more pronounced than it probably really is. Then I always like to do a little bit smaller jaw there. All right. I think we're in pretty good shape there. We're going to blow that out quite a bit more. Okay, now you can do anything you want. I'm just saying sketch something, right? All right, I think that's good enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. All right, and for those that are anatomically correct out there, I know that there's a lot of proportional issues with this, and turns out I don't care. All right, cool. Once you get done with this, now the trick here, we're going to rename this with the art area. All right, so we've got this thing sketched out, right? We're in pretty good shape there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new pixel layer. So we come over to the pixel layer, we drag it down, and we want to flood fill the thing. So to flood fill it, we grab the bucket, we grab the color, black, and we tap. Perfect. Let's turn down this art a little bit. We grab the art layer, and we drop it down, and we rename this layer. Let's call this surface. All right, perfect. Now, after the surface layer, we add one more, and let's go ahead and we'll call this paint. Now, this is where you as the artist have to really kind of know what you're doing. Now, watch this. This is how this works. I'm going to bring this up above onto the paint layer. You see now I've got art, paint, and surface. And now I want to begin painting in an area where my colors make sense. So there is no right way to do this. I'm going to grab a brush. I'm going to grab this, let's grab a paintbrush real quick. I'm going to grab spray paints, and I'm going to grab this 166 here, this spray paint brush. I'm going to go to color, and I'm going to want to make this kind of a warm type of skull. So I'm going to work in red a little bit. And now, with this selected, my brush set up, and my brush selected. You see what we just did there? All right, so now, brush is set up. We're ready to go. Now, I'm just kind of painting around in here, and you'll see that I'm kind of following. I want kind of a red reflected light here. And then what I want in other areas is kind of this orange to kind of go through here on this side. And I really want to make it kind of two-tone. So we do that. And now, what is the complementary color to that orange red? Teal, right? So let's go ahead over here to the teal. And let's go ahead and go to this teal area. And then let's add in the eye area a little slice of teal also. And then let's go over here to the green, and we'll add a little slice of green to it also. Cool. All right. Looking good. Now we need to blend that out a little bit. Let's go to the yellow, and we're going to put a little bit of the yellow down in there. All right. Looks good from here. Now you're saying, Jeremy, that looks like garbage. Watch this. We now take the paint, move it below the surface layer, and to the surface layer, we attach a mask layer. Now the mask, white reveals, and this is white, black conceals. So how are we going to conceal the surface so that the paint underneath can show through? We're going to grab a brush. I'm going to grab a drawing brush. I'm going to grab the drawing 3 brush because I like the pressure sensitivity and the size. And my color that I'm going to work in is straight up black. Now, watch what happens. Stay with me. You want to make certain you are on the mask layer. Now, watch. See when I start doing this? Notice what's happening even as I drag my mouse around. So when I say this is going to test your artistic abilities, you're going to begin arcing and drawing and revealing what's underneath this skull. So the trick was in getting the colors where you want it, getting the paint where you want it, and the last trick is about making sure that the strokes you're using are going to reveal and tell the story that you want them to reveal. So in reality, all I'm doing is I'm revealing the painted layer underneath this layer. And this is how they're doing that technique. So it's just about the amount of time that you're willing to take in order to reveal that wolf underneath that she liked when she originally sent it to me. You see I'm pressing a little harder where I want the areas to shine through. And then where I don't, I'm pressing a lot lighter. Let's give him a little bit more furrowed brow here. And let's go ahead and crank this guy up. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to zoom on into here. And we're going to work a little bit closer alongside here. So we grab the same brush. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove a little bit more of that. Now, if you wanted to, you could turn up the flow all the way to max. And what that's going to do is make you a little bit surer in your strokes. And what I like to do on something like this is I like to make the strokes a lot more dense in areas where I want it to seem a lot more dark. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this here because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me draw for an hour and a half. But that is absolutely the technique. Now let's look at our layers. Paint layer underneath. Mask layer attached to the surface, and we have been drawing on the mask layer and the art layer. And then when we peel off the art layer, that's what we're left with is this mask layer. So if you wanted to, you could absolutely continue your art now that you got the basic shapes down, as it makes sense to get your point across in terms of what you were trying to communicate with that particular shape. All right, let's just do a little bit more because I can't leave well enough alone. All right, and again, you can definitely do this with your mouse. I tend to use a graphics tablet for something like this because it makes life a whole lot easier. All right, folks, that's a little bit on how to do this technique. It's a second way to do a scratchboard or a woodcut technique. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any ideas for other videos that you'd like to see me do, go ahead and hit me up in the comments below. All right, folks, we'll see you in the next one.